Diddy has a clone. Apparently there's this thing spreading around where people are saying that the person that's actually in jail is not the real Diddy. This is a real photo of Diddy. Notice the markings on his face. They're very prominent and they are from the real Diddy. However, in this mugshot right here, you do not see these markings at all. To make matters even more weird, Diddy's private jet is still flying around as we speak. This is from the account Celebrity Jets. They're actually tracking P. Diddy's private jet flight path. This is the actual private jet that Diddy owns. You can see him getting off this private jet here.
Kanye West is back in the headlines again, and this time he's not talking about music, fashion, or even his own drama. He's hinting at something way darker. According to him, the man the world thinks is sitting in a federal cell right now might not actually be Diddy. And when you line up the mugshots, the flight logs, the leaked footage, and the sudden silence from certain people in Hollywood, you start to see why so many people are whispering that something isn't adding up. Because if what people are suggesting is even halfway true, we're not just talking about a celebrity scandal, we're talking about one of the wildest swaps in modern pop culture. A powerful industry giant allegedly finding a way to keep living his life while a stand-in takes the fall. At least, that's what a growing corner of the internet is convinced of, and once we walk through everything that's been coming out lately, you might understand why this theory refuses to die.
We got video of him at Fort Dix reporting for work in the library, where he is making recommendations and handing out different movies and books for his fellow inmates.
I'm really fascinated just by the library
But
itself.
you're seeing him here. This is him reporting to work, taking off his jacket, taking off his scarf, and settling in for a day on the job.
It looks like a public school library.
Yeah.
It's
This was the chapel, and this is the media library in the chapel, which is where Diddy's currently working. He's working in a Life Connections program, which is an 18-month program that helps rehab people and get them closer to spirituality, to charity groups, and with that, it will shorten his sentence. But in this media library, he helps inmates with religious material, rent out movies, that kind of stuff. You see him pushing a
really
cart
interesting
with a TV on it.
Yeah, I mean, he was in the laundry room when he first got there.
Yeah,
so this got to be
his first
This got to be a promotion.
Yeah.
It feels like a promotion. It feels like maybe he tried the lunchroom and put in a request for something different.
Yeah, it does. It does sound like he used maybe possibly some connections to get a better job.
It really started with something as simple as a picture, a mugshot. One photo from inside Fort Dix that most people thought would just be another headline. But for fans who've been staring at Diddy's face for decades, from album covers to red carpets, that image hit different. They started pulling up old press photos, zooming in on his skin, his jawline, his markings. They pointed at the moles and scars that have always been visible on his face. Then they looked at the mugshot again, and those same details were suddenly either faded or missing altogether. Now, does lighting matter? Of course. Angles, resolution, all of that can change how someone looks on camera. But the internet doesn't do benefit of the doubt. People began posting side-by-side comparisons, circling his features and saying, hold on, that's not the same man. The nose looks a little different. The cheek area looks smoother. The overall structure feels off. Some people joked about bad Photoshop. Others went straight to the deep end. That's not Diddy. That's a clone. Normally, that kind of talk would die in a day, but it didn't, and there's a reason why. The mugshot wasn't the only thing that looked suspicious, because while this Diddy was supposedly settling into a routine behind bars, something else was moving around the world that he was known to never go anywhere without, in his jet.
How did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
The recordings give viewers an intimate look at Combs's mindset ahead of his criminal trial, even conversations with his legal team.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day. Perhaps. What was he intending to use it for?
I have no idea what he was doing that for.
I mean, you know, you're talking about a man who films himself doing everything and has for decades. I think he wanted someone to be behind the scenes with him.
Combs' team firing back in a statement to NBC News today. Netflix referring NBC News to a statement from Stapleton in which she said they lawfully obtained the footage.
Behind the scenes, a Netflix docuseries about Diddy was being stitched together by director Alex Stapleton, with Curtis 50 Cent Jackson attached as executive producer. Not a fan page, not a random YouTube conspiracy video, a full-blown streaming giant project. This documentary wasn't just going to recap what we already knew. It was built around never-before-seen footage. Video Diddy supposedly had filmed himself over years, documenting private strategy sessions, intimate moments with his legal team, and behind-the-scenes planning leading up to his trial. The moment the trailer rolled out and people realized there was raw footage of Diddy arguing with his lawyers, talking about how they were losing, and demanding they find someone who had experience dealing in the dirtiest of dirty business, everything shifted. You could hear the panic coming out of his camp. His team publicly slammed the documentary as a shameful hit piece and claimed the footage was stolen, unauthorized, never meant to be seen by the public. Netflix and the filmmakers pushed back, saying they acquired it legally and did everything by the book. That back and forth alone would have been crazy enough. But when you stop and think about what those clips really show, a man who knows he's in trouble, telling his team to bring in someone who operates in the shadows, it makes the clone theory sound less like a cartoon and more like one possible piece in a much bigger game. If you're willing to hire people to move in what you call the dirtiest corners of business, who exactly are you talking about? Fixers? Law enforcement insiders? People who can swap problems instead of solving them? Now, this is where Kanye walks onto the stage.
Harley Pasternak has been working with every celebrity, from Ariana Grande to Jessica Simpson, from Mac Miller to Brittany Murphy. This man is everywhere, and there are major red flags. Like, why is an ex-government defense agent working as a nutritionist for the biggest celebrities? It really appears that Harley is a handler, and that's why celebrities like Kanye West has exposed him. For example, Kanye shared text messages showing Harley threatening him to drug him up like a zombie, send him away to a hospital, and keep him away from his kids.
Long before people were screaming clone under every Diddy headline, Kanye was already talking about some of the strangest parts of Hollywood that most celebrities pretend don't exist. He exposed text messages from his so-called trainer, Harley Pasternak, a man who didn't just work with Kanye, but with a long list of major names. In those texts, Harley threatens to basically medicate Kanye into submission, telling him he could have him drugged, sent away, and separated from his kids if he didn't fall in line. And this wasn't some anonymous internet rumor. These were screenshots Kanye himself posted. Kanye took it further and claimed Harley had government ties from his past and acted more like a handler than a simple fitness coach. He said straight up, everybody in Hollywood has a handler, and he warned people that if he ever disappeared, went away, and came back looking or acting different, it wouldn't actually be him. At the time, people laughed, called it another one of Ye's rants. Now, those same clips are being replayed like a prophecy. Fast forward to Diddy's legal drama. Kanye doesn't distance himself, he does the opposite. He shows up at the courthouse to support Diddy. Reporters catch him in this white suit, trying to get into the building, eventually sitting in an overflow room. He tells media he's there to stand by Sean Combs. Then, shortly after that, he has a conversation with Diddy, a call that he ends up posting online. In the audio, Diddy sounds like he's trying to calm him down, telling him to have fun, stay safe, get back to making music, and be careful because things out here are wicked. At first, Kanye is completely in his corner, but then something strange happens. After all that public support, after sharing that call, he suddenly pulls back. No more loud, daily defense. No more, I'm with him no matter what. It's like a switch flips, and that's where people started asking, what did Kanye realize during that conversation? Did he see something in Diddy's behavior? His voice? The way he talked that didn't line up with the man he knew? Did he sense that whatever was going on here went way beyond regular Hollywood mess? And just when you think the clone stuff can't get any crazier, other celebrities start adding fuel to the fire, whether they mean to or not. Orlando Brown, who has become infamous for saying wild things, claimed that there are two different Kanyes, a taller Kanye and a shorter Kanye, fighting over who gets to be the real one. Most people dismissed it as another one of his out there takes, but in conspiracy circles, that clip became a staple. It was proof, at least to believers, that Hollywood was running some kind of double program with certain stars.
Kanye is a clone. I wholeheartedly believe what I'm about to say. I think there are clones, and I'm going to tell you why. Remember, he was really talking a lot. The cabal didn't like that, you know? The Illuminati, the cabal, they did not like how much he was saying. He was calling a lot of people out, and he said, if I go away and I come back and I look different, that is not me.
If I ever went anywhere, we know why.
What happened? He was gone.
He did that because he wanted to gain weight. I would do that too. I'm going to do that next summer.
Look at him. Compare old photos of him. It's not the same person. It's not. Don't cancel me, Hollywood.
I don't know if Hollywood's going to cancel her, but you know who did cancel her, which I'm sure actually feeds into Kristen's conspiracy theory?
Who?
TikTok.
I get a call from my publicist. Okay, so he calls me and he goes, guess who wants your phone number? And I went, who? Britney Spears. And I'm going, what? I'm not gonna lie though, at first, because okay, if you didn't listen to the last episode Justin and I did, go listen. But we talked about Hollywood conspiracies and I said, my big thing was Kanye West, I think, is a clone, but also I said Britney is not Britney.
Then you have Kristen Cavallari jumping into the conversation from a totally different lane. On her podcast, she went viral for saying she believes in celebrity clones and flat out claimed Kanye is one of them. She pointed out that he warned people before disappearing for a while, saying if he came back looking different, it wasn't really him. She brought up his weight changes, his face looking off, the eerie timing. And she didn't stop there. She later included Britney Spears in that same conversation, suggesting that the Britney we see online now might not be the same Britney she met years ago. TikTok removed the clip where she said all of this, citing guideline violations. Her account wasn't wiped, but the specific video vanished. And that was all it took. Once you delete something from a platform like that, you basically hand conspiracy theorists a bullhorn. In their minds, if it wasn't a threat, it wouldn't be censored. Not long after, Kristen says Britney's camp actually reached out asking for her number, and she ended up in a group chat with Britney and her manager. Britney allegedly sent her a message trying to clear the air about what was said on the podcast. Kristen didn't read the full text publicly, but she described it as a chaotic stream of consciousness, the kind of message where you're not sure if you're reading a real person in distress or someone trying a little too hard to sound like the original. Put all of that together. Kanye's warnings, Orlando's bizarre claims, Kristen's podcast episode getting pulled, Britney supposedly reaching out. And suddenly the idea of clones and stand-ins isn't just a fringe TikTok thing anymore. It's floating around in mainstream conversations, attached to some of the biggest names in pop culture. Now bring it back to Diddy.
50 Cent don't give a damn. He don't give a damn. He literally is saying he's going to reach out to Trump to remind Trump of the things that P. Diddy has said about him for the sole express purposes of making sure that Trump doesn't pardon Diddy in the event that Diddy gets convicted of sex trafficking and racketeering. That's what 50 Cent has sworn to do. And I got to admit to you, that's wild. Damn, you know you got an enemy there when the man want to go out of his way to contact the president, you know, and clearly he has some kind of inroads where he can get to President Trump so President Trump can hear him. He's basically saying, yo, brother need to go down.
This isn't just a random artist with no connections. For years, there have been whispers that Diddy stayed close to people in law enforcement, politics, and big business. Not necessarily because he was paying them off, though some people allege that, but because he understood power. He knew how to network his way into rooms with billionaires, brand executives, and high-ranking officials. He was able to get meetings with people who could make charges disappear, greenlight deals, or open doors most of us will never see. Commentators who have followed his case have openly said he knows too much, that he's dangerous not just because of what he's accused of doing, but because of what he's seen behind the scenes. The parties, the names, the habits, the secrets. Some even compared his networking tactics to other powerful figures who surrounded themselves with politicians and CEOs, building a web of mutual protection. Then there were the reports that Donald Trump was seriously considering commuting his sentence before he even fully settled into a long-term prison placement. According to those leaks, people in the White House were arguing over it behind closed doors. Some staffers allegedly told him, "Don't do it. It'll look bad." Others saw it as a potential move that could shake up public opinion. Whether you believe those reports or not, the fact that the story even existed tells you a lot about how high Diddy's influence supposedly reached. And in the middle of all this, you have his lawyer calmly telling reporters that he believes Diddy will make a comeback, the likes of which people are not expecting. Not a small recovery, not a quiet retirement, a full-blown, unexpected return. To some, that sounded like blind loyalty. To others, it felt like a hint that there was more going on behind the scenes than anyone was allowed to say.
The exclusive video also shows Combs in Harlem greeting fans.
Off my back, bro. Lord, you win. I'm gonna win. Lord, you win. We win it. I'll accept it. I need some hand sanitizer. Hold on. I got it. I've been out in the streets amongst the people. Yeah, I gotta take a bath. Like the amount of people that actually I'm coming in contact with, like that's what I have to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like 150 hugs.
You're a public person as well, and there was one instance in Harlem, and his reaction when those people
went away.
Got in
the car and said, I feel like I need to wash, like I'm dirt. That was, it shows you his character.
That's where the Netflix footage becomes even more chilling, because those videos show Diddy doing what he's always done best, controlling the narrative. He's filmed going back and forth with his legal team, debating strategy, analyzing the jury, and talking about how they're losing the battle so far. At one point, he makes it very clear he wants people around him who are willing to get their hands dirty on his behalf. And you can see it in his body language. The frustration, the urgency, the fear of what might happen if this doesn't go his way. They even show him out in Harlem, greeting fans, hugging people, smiling for the cameras, then immediately asking for hand sanitizer and calling himself dirty from all that direct contact with the public. It's a tiny moment, but it exposes the way he viewed fame, the way he saw regular people, and the constant performance he was putting on. He's filming everything, controlling everything, using every encounter to build an image, even while his entire world is about to crash down. And then you remember, this is the same man whose unseen footage is now in a documentary he never approved, on a platform he can't control, produced by someone he's publicly beefed with for years. 50 Cent isn't exactly subtle about it either. On social media, he's been trolling Diddy nonstop, joking that Netflix might not be ready for how many people are going to stream the doc at midnight, posting screenshots and captions that make it clear he's enjoying every second of Diddy squirming. At the same time, he insists this isn't just about petty revenge. He said if he stayed quiet, the public could assume that the entire hip-hop culture was okay with what Diddy has been accused of. He says he feels like he has an obligation to speak, even if people think it's personal. And inside the doc, there are juror interviews, former collaborators like Aubrey from Danity Kane, and people from Diddy's inner circle raising serious questions about what really went on in those years of power and partying. So when you line it all up, you don't just have a simple story of a fallen mogul serving time, you have a mugshot that looks off to fans who've watched his face age in real time, a private jet that keeps hitting global destinations like nothing's wrong, leaked prison footage that raises as many doubts as it answers, a Netflix documentary built around footage he never wanted released, lawyers talking about secret plans and huge comebacks, Kanye warning the world about handlers, cloning, and people coming back different, celebrities openly confessing they believe in clones and that certain stars have been replaced, whispers of government ties, quiet negotiations, and back-channel conversations that never make it into official statements. Is that enough to prove that Diddy used a clone or a body double to dodge prison? No. There's no official document, no smoking gun confession, no leaked contract saying, "You do my time, I live my life." But that's not really the point here. The reason this theory has so much traction isn't because people can prove it. It's because for once, the patterns they're seeing don't feel completely out of reach. If a man can allegedly get close enough to presidents to talk about pardons, if he can fund massive campaigns, move through elite circles, and hire people who deal in the dirtiest of dirty business, then it doesn't sound that crazy to imagine he'd at least explore extreme options to protect his freedom and his image. Maybe not a sci-fi clone grown in a lab, but a look-alike, a double, a stand-in who fits the silhouette well enough to satisfy a system that already has reasons to look the other way. So the real question isn't just, is that really Diddy behind those bars? It's bigger than that. How much do we actually know about what happens once a powerful person disappears into the system? How much control do they still have from the inside? When we see a mugshot, a courtroom sketch, a grainy video from a prison library, are we seeing the full truth or just the version that made it through the filters? Is Kanye telling the truth when he warns about handlers, swaps, and people coming back different? Or is he just amplifying the chaos because he knows controversy is his superpower? Are the jet logs, the leaked footage, the redacted clips, and all the contradictions just a perfect storm of coincidences? Or are they the trail of breadcrumbs left behind when someone tries to outplay a system they spent years learning how to bend? One thing is certain, this story isn't done. The docuseries is only going to push more people to ask their own questions. More footage will probably surface. More insiders will decide whether they want to protect the legacy or protect themselves. And as long as there's even a tiny chance that the man sitting in that cell isn't the same one who was once at the top of the music world, the internet is going to keep digging. So you tell me, is this just another wild conspiracy cooked up by fans who spend too much time online? Or did the industry pull off one of the biggest swaps in celebrity history while the rest of the world was too distracted to notice?